Perfect. Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Brianna Hall. I am the marketing manager with the America's SBDC Iowa. We are kicking off our webinar series with Tom Shay, who's with Profits Plus. He's a fourth generation small business owner with over 25 years of experience managing and running small businesses. So he is going to talk with us today about pricing and retail strategies, and he has a really great presentation for us. This will be recorded and up on our YouTube channel for you to share, as will all the webinars. So make sure you keep an eye out for the next one. And Tom, I will let you take it away.
Good morning, Brianna, Stacy. Good morning to everyone. Welcome to this class. I am excited to share this information with you. This comes from firsthand experience. A whole lot of years ago, I had a friend who had written a notebook about the strategy of how to price products in our business. I read the book, I visited with him several times, and we kind of ran off with the book and from the standpoint of, well, if this will work, could we add this? And could we add something else to it? And this has a lot of great testimonials to it. One of my favorites is right after I first taught this class to a group. Okay, so Brianna, this is going to show my age at this point. I'm thinking the year was 1998 or 99 when I taught it. And I remember the room, I was in a hotel in Orlando, and a gentleman in the audience was owner of 4 locations, and he sold truck accessories in the state of Massachusetts. And I happened to run into him in November of that year at the Automotive Industries event in Las Vegas. And he was on a phone in the hallway, and he grabbed me and he says, I just want you to know, he said, I went home and I implemented this. I started calculating this. And he says, I've made $87,000 off of this in my 4 stores. The neat part of the story is, so we're talking 22, 23 years ago this happened. He now has 11 locations. And I haven't spoken to my friend Charlie in a while, but he's done okay. He's done very well, and I'm thrilled that it worked for him. I've got a testimonial from someone about a year and a half ago, right before the pandemic started, that said if he hadn't implemented this when he heard the strategy, he said, I would have gone broke. He said, during the Great Recession, he says, my volume went down 15% a year for 2 years, and both years my profits went up because I took a chance and I implemented this and it worked. So this is not about negotiation, even though the cartoon that you see has a $3 picture and someone's offering 2 and, how about 1 and this stuff. This is not what this session's about. This is about how do we price products. One of the challenges that I see with those of us who are small business owners is most definitely we offer quality products to our customers. I'd invite you to read the book Distribution Trap. Cannot remember the author's name, but the book's entitled The Distribution Trap. So hunt up your local, not Amazon, hunt up your local bookstore and find this book. It's a great read, and it talks about the quality products that are made and how they're being distributed in our country. But when a customer decides to buy something, let's say we're looking at a cup or a plate or something, or a phone. You're looking at buying a phone here, and the person tells you, here's the price of it. And you're making a decision, is it worth it? There's a formula. We all go through the same sequence. What's the quality? What's the service that you give me? What's the information that you can provide me with? And what's the price? And together, you've come up with, here's the value. The challenge that we have with small businesses is a perception. And unfortunately, we do a lot to promote this perception when we really shouldn't be promoting this idea. I had the opportunity yesterday on Memorial Day to go about 70 miles to the west and go see a parade and a rodeo and all. And I had multiple experiences in the day. One is listening to the local radio stations. And the sad part was with every small business that advertised, the commercial also said something about the price. We have competitive prices. Our prices are good. Excuse me, like somehow or another, we have to qualify ourselves for what we're doing. We don't. I understand where the thought comes from that we're higher priced because people like Walmart and other businesses have hammered away so long that they've got the great price, or hey, buy it on the internet and you don't pay anybody's operating expenses. I get that. But when we can separate ourselves by this formula, I walked into a hardware store yesterday, needed a couple items. I'm waiting for the rodeo to start. Purchased an item and was observing a young lady at the cash register waiting on a gentleman who was buying a product, and it wasn't the right product. And I was so impressed with this young lady, the way that she helped him, the way she got someone to get him the right product and all. And I walked out with my purchase, realized I got to the car, I didn't have everything I needed, walked back in and made a point to go to her register and told her, you were awesome. I said, if I owned a store today, I'd come looking for you to hire you because you were so well educated in your products that you knew. And I said, and you were right. You were exactly right. I've sold that product before, and just, they're not going to get that kind of service when they buy something online, and they're not going to get that kind of service, and they're not going to get that kind of information when they go to one of the box stores. But altogether, our issue is offering value to the customers. Now, that being said, our lesson today is about price. How do we price things? And I will say this multiple times during the course of the day. You don't price it according to cost. You're not going to price it to cost. I'm going to teach you 5 major strategies of how to price products. There are a group of items that we identify as blind price items. There's a group of items that we call everyday sale price items. There's a group we're going to call the promotional price items. There's a 4th group we call price sensitive items. And then there's a strategy for pricing products that goes across the board, kind of gives you a lot of nice extra margin, and it makes the biggest difference in how this works in your business. Now, so in our business, and the example where this comes from is for a retail business that we owned. No one ever caught it. Since the 1980s, I've been writing magazine columns, and I would have people who would come and visit my store, and I would ask them, could you look at my merchandise and tell me how I price things? The only person who ever caught that we were doing something different in our prices was the accountant, who was looking at our financial statements and going, your margin's going up. What's going on here? What are you doing? None of the experts, none of the other business owners who came to our store, who looked at what we were doing, could ever figure out what it was they were doing, which is my proof to you that this can work. All you got to do is implement it one piece at a time. So let me explain each of these items. The first group is blind price items. Okay, these are things no one has an idea what they should sell for. I mean, think about the situation. You have someone who calls you on the phone. Do you have such and such an item? I'm sure we do. Let me check. And they'll say, what's the price? And you say, hold on, I have to look at that too. This item's in your store. You've seen it lots of times. You're just checking to make sure you have plenty of it on hand. And you don't know the price. Even the customer isn't going to know the price of this item. So what are we looking at doing at this point? Let me give you an example. Let's play a game. What do you think a deck of Bicycle brand playing cards would sell for? You know, they're in a little blue or red cardboard box wrapped with cellophane. What do you think they sell for? Number 2, how about a box of Crayola crayons, 24 in the package? Number 3, what do you think a Duracell 9-volt battery sells for? It comes on a nice little blister pack. And lastly, how about an 8-inch taper candle? That's the shape of a taper candle, 8 inches tall. Well, because I can't be with you face to face, I can't ask you to shout out answers at me. I will tell you from when I've taught this class live, the guesses are somewhere between $1.50 and $10. And you kind of go, wow, could I take and actually get $10 for something I was normally getting $1 for? No, it just goes to show you that people don't know what things sell for. So I walked into a store and they had in their gift section candles. It was a shelf about 4 feet long, and on it were 8-inch candles: white, red, green, gold, blue, all kinds of colors. And then they had some that were gold glitter and some that were silver glitter. All right. So I asked the person, I asked you, what do they sell for? And the answer in this store was 99 cents. 99 cents for your choice of any color of candle. That's the 8-inch. The shelf just below it had all the same candles, and they were 12 inches. Well, again, I can't ask you face to face, but the question I would say is, what do you think the 12-inch candles sell for? And the answer was 99 cents in the store. So I seek out the owner and I go, how come? Right off the bat, we can clearly see the difference of an 8-inch candle to the 12-inch candle. And you've got them for the same price. Why? And the owner of the shop says, because they got the same cost. Okay, here's the deal. Cost is irrelevant. Cost is totally irrelevant in what you can sell something for. It's all about what you can get for it and understanding what the product is. Here's my example. There's a white candle there. If you had looked at these candles, you'd have known that they were all white candles. They were just dipped in different colors of wax. So from a white to any color, there's a cost because there's an extra step in the process of making the color become red, green, blue, whatever as such. There's another extra process because the gold glitter and the silver glitter have actually been dipped in something and make them sticky, and the glitter sticks to them. There's an obvious extra cost in this. And yet, even though the person who makes the candles, selling to the store, has not taken and raised the prices, to the retailer, you can. There's a justification for it. Now, let's go backwards. Let's say that you are a business and you're selling products and you get the products on a everyday order from somebody, whoever your source is. Let's say you're buying it from the manufacturer and you have a cost to it. And then all of a sudden, here comes a deal. The manufacturer, say twice a year, has this big deal and it's a big price drop. If you base your prices on the cost, then when you get the good deal, the price is going to go down. And when you pay more, the price goes up. To the customer, they don't know when you're buying it, how you're buying it. The higher price that you can get is the one where you should stay with, not keep moving around. Cost is really irrelevant. So let's look at my blind price items. How do I figure out what they are? One, if I'm pricing it, physically pricing it, it takes a while to do this. Number two, it's extra handling for the customer because of the size, the bulkiness, the weight of something. Number three, this is a natural add-on item to a sale. Number four, it's a product that is seldom used. 5, repair part, replacement item. Has luxury or status appeal as a product. Is seldom being promoted. Number 8, not seasonal. 9, recreational use. 10, not sold in the mass merchants. Okay, so we got up to 10 points here. So here's the suggestion for scoring. Every time you got a point, it's a yes answer. 1 to 3 in the margin of 40, 4 or 5 points, we should be in a range of 46 to 55%. 6 points, 56 to 30. 7 points, 61 to 65, and 8 points, 66 to whatever you want to go with it. Excuse me this morning, frog in the throat. Whatever you can possibly get for it. Now, again, in face-to-face, I usually get someone who's coming up and go, I think that's wrong to do that. Let me explain to you. There are items that we complain about that we have very low margins on. Somewhere along the line, we have to take and make money on something. When we look at an item in something like Walmart, and you see it, and I will hear business owners say, my gosh, they're selling it for what it cost me. They're selling the same item for what it cost them too. It's called Come On, Give Me, The Hook, Loss Leader, whatever it takes to get somebody in the door. If the Waltons did everything with such a low margin, then I would have to question this. Where I live, the Waltons are very big into mountain biking. I live near where Walton's headquarters is. The three grandsons that we see in our community because they like to mountain bike, the poorest of the three is worth $18 billion. Okay, Walmart did not make that money by giving things away. They know how to price items. And if you take the time to study it, you'll be amazed at how many items you will find in there that we underprice it if Walmart is our competitor. And it's true with any type of business. When we go for a formula for how we price things, we're hurting ourselves because we're not taking the time to distinguish particular items. People who are in the nursery business very frequently take, here's the cost of a plant, and I multiply the cost times a certain factor. And then what they call the hard goods, the shovels, the rakes, the garden hoses, they have cost times another multiplier factor. Okay, that's basic elementary school math. We don't need it to be something like that because you'll have a plant that you've got to take and have a very close margin on, and you've got a plant that you're the only person in town. Therefore, whatever your price is, it's the best price in town. Now, I understand someone who might have concern for the strategy, so let me share this with you. If you look across the top and you look down the left side, so let's say my current gross margin is 30%, all right? So go across the top 10, 15, 20, 25 to 30. Go down the left side, and I'm going to add 10% to the price. So down the left side to 10%, go across to where the 30 and 10% meet. The answer in that block is 25.0. Here's what this does. If your margin is 30% and you add 10 points to it, if somehow, I don't know how it happened because I've never seen it occur, if somehow customers caught it, if you lost 25% of your sales, you haven't lost a dime in margin, the money that goes to the bottom line, okay? That's the difference in the two. I'd have people who told me they hang this on their wall to remind them of what they can do in their business. Now, this is one of the calculators on our website, profitsplus.org. We have 47 calculators there. Here's the quick disclaimer. On the website, everything's free. We don't charge for anything there. You help yourself to anything we have. If you use this online calculator, as you punch in the numbers, you put them in the yellow squares, then the answers will appear in the gray squares. We do not see your numbers. We don't know who's on the page. You don't have to sign in to take and get anything. You just go in and punch the numbers and do this calculation that says, well, if I lower my price, now how many more do I have to sell? That is a pretty big challenge for people, is knowing that if they sell their price, how many more they have to sell. And unfortunately, and quite often, the increase in quantity they have to sell is not going to make up for the margin that they're going to lose. They just too often think about how many of something it is that I'm selling. Everyday sale price. All right, this is what hangs up small businesses, whether you're competing with somebody online or you're competing with somebody down the street. It's items that we need to have in our business that we match what our competitor is selling something for so that we look like we're priced right. Classic example could be something like a gallon of milk. All right, if I sell milk and if I were selling it for $6 a gallon, in my territory, you're going to know that's a very high price store. But if I sell it for what someone else is selling it for, then it's the perception of you're priced right. Most of us can walk into a grocery store and we have a very short list of items that help us feel comfortable. I know what milk is. I know what eggs should be, perhaps a pound of ground beef, a loaf of bread. few things like that. In the grocery business, there's an old saying that what you want to see is customers wander towards the middle part of the store, because as you get to the middle part of a store, the margins get higher and higher, right? Because while your list of things that you know what the price is in a grocery store might be 30 to 40 items, in the average grocery store, there's about 35,000 products there. Nobody knows that many prices. So you can again see the idea of taking and putting a certain multiplier factor on everything isn't going to work. That's the concept of knowing where to price things. A friend of mine had a bookstore, and as you walked in the front door, there was always a display of here's the newest book. The unfortunate thing was he sold it for whatever the full cover price was. And if you walked into some place like a Sam's Club or a Costco or some other business, they were always taking the book when it first came out and lowering the price greatly. What's my friend telling you when you walk in the front door? I'm a high price store, because the item a customer is seeing first in a chain store is low price. What he needs to do is reverse his strategy. He needs to have the lower price on this item when it first comes out and realize he's got hundreds of others all over the place that he can take and make more of a margin on. It's understanding how other businesses are pricing things so that you can create your strategy. In our business, I simply kept a little notebook, like an Excel chart, and I had it printed out, and I had my competitors there, and I looked at it, and I knew here's where I need to be price-wise, and that also helped me in learning how I needed to be buying that item from somebody. So to find these, I shop the competition. I watch all their ads, and I make a point to get on their mailing list. I want to see on their mailing list what it is that their prices are, because they will have a certain piece of mailing with some of these businesses that they send only to their database of customers. So I want to be, and if that's a problem for you to be on the list, put your dog, put your cat on. Okay, put somebody who's dead on the list, someone who's got a different last name, just to get the mail and or the email and see what it is that the business is doing. Then you begin to match it with something like this. Okay, so here's an example from what could be a hardware store. Now, people who study stores like I do would know that this ad on the left side of the card is Home Depot. That's the way their ads look. So this sample business did this. This is a card. It's about a 6 inches long and about 4 inches tall. It's a piece of cardstock. And this is what they put on their sign. Their sale price this week is our everyday price. Why bother to shop for sale prices? They put this out of a print ad from Home Depot, and they put it right there in front of the product. Now, what has this business done? All that money, all that effort that Home Depot puts into telling people how low their prices are, this local business has just killed the price image that Home Depot has, because they're saying, I'm your local neighborhood hardware store. Look at the price I have on this product. And by putting the Home Depot ad there, you're saying, that's what they sell it for, but I sell it for this year round. Now, for all we know, this might be the same price Home Depot has throughout the whole year, but they claim it in a weekly price, and they say price is good only through this date. What I'm doing is I'm telling my customer, feel comfortable when you shop in my business. Come here and appreciate that my prices are the right prices. Here's another way to do it. Send somebody to go to the competition and buy the item. Build it on a display. Put the receipt there from the other store. Probably got to laminate it to take and keep it looking up nice and neat. Put the insult card there next to it. If it's an end cap display, you can also take and complete the end cap with a blind price item. Again, you're taking a very popular item, saying, I've got the same price of the competition, but then you're taking items and putting other ones on there so that people are comfortable. Again, back to the bread and milk issue. If I have the same price as someone else has on milk, if I do it on bread, if I do it on eggs, if I have it on these popular items, all right, then you're comfortable with the store. You have no idea what the Oreo cookies should sell for, but you're comfortable with the Oreo cookies because the gallon of milk is the price that you know everyone else has got. That's the concept here. I will tell you from personal experience, as well as from all these that I have taught over the years, the thing works. I have never had a report of anyone coming back and saying the pricing strategy doesn't work. What I do run into is people who kind of have a fear of trying it. So let me quickly share with you a story about a man who walked into a class one day. He attended this class, and at the end, he comes up to me and he says, I see this afternoon you're going to teach the pricing class. And I go, yes, I am. He says, I've been in it. And I go, are you sure you've been in this class? I said, this is like the first time I've ever been at this trade show, and I know I'm not teaching it until this afternoon. He says, well, no, I own a couple of other types of businesses, and I heard you teach it at another place. And he says, let me tell you what happened. He said, I went back to my business. I'm talking to a person who's my manager in my business. And I said, here's this class that I heard. And he pulled an item off the shelf. Says, as an example, he gave a price of what they're selling it for. And he says, this price would now be, and he told him what the higher price was based upon what I'm sharing with you today. He says, as fate would have it, 30 minutes later, a customer walks in our door. I speak to the customer. I'm helping them. And he says, based upon what you're telling me, this is the product you need. He says, how odd was it? I reach on the shelf, I pull this item off, and I hand it to the customer. It's the very item I use to tell my manager, here's this example. And the customer said, how much? I told him the price, not the price it is now, but he says the price that it's going to be with the price change that Tom Shay is recommending. The customer says, fair price, I'll take it. He says, I turned to my manager after the customer left and said, this is a sign. This thing is work. And he said, and so we started implementing it across the store. And I hope throughout what I've shared with you today that these stories convince you that you should try this. It's great extra profit. Let's keep going. I've got price sensitive or promotional items that I want to share with you. Okay. So on the promotional items, these are the items that have a definite sale price, because you're going to advertise, whether you do it in some form of social media or radio or television or a newspaper, however you do things, perhaps a direct mail piece that you send to customers. And you go, this is our anniversary sale. And these are the prices that starts at this date and it ends on this date, and they've got a special price. Now, there are two groups of items that go on this. One, you can put items that are your everyday sale price. They belong there. Two, items that you purchase from your vendors for the specific purpose of putting them on sale. Now, side note at this point, it's important when you're doing something like a birthday sale, an anniversary sale, or something like that, that you begin working on this months in advance and going to your vendors and saying, I have an event coming up and I want your participation. Come back to me with some items that would be good. Not just here's my prices on items, but you have to tell the vendor, look, during this event, I'm going to be operating on a larger margin. I've been your customer for years, and I need you to do the same for me at this point. When I'm having a sale event, it can't be me and only me that's dropping the prices. Vendors understand that, but you do have to ask to get the special price from them. All right, now the price sensitive items. This was a mistake that we made. This was a special group that we had to put in here because I found that I was a little too, shall we say, overly ambitious as I was creating the original everyday sale price. My list was much bigger than it had to be. What I was not paying attention to was that when someone had a sale price, there's many times there's a disclaimer as to a certain color or a certain version of it or something like that. And I was going through and simply taking everything that the manufacturer had. That was wrong. So we created this thing that we call the price sensitive group. The price sensitive is a sister item. It can be on the list, because it's related to the everyday sale price item. It could be the same item, but it's a different size, a different color. All right, so when people like me were kids, you went to the store and you bought a candy bar, and whether it be a Snickers, a Milky Way, a Three Musketeer, any of those, all of them were the same size. But now when you walk into different stores, to make it easier for a store to extend their margins, you'll see that on any of the candy bars that I've named, sometimes they've got 2 pieces in there, sometimes they've got 3, sometimes they've got one great big one, sometimes they've got the old original. There's all kinds of different sizes. So these are the price sensitive items because it's the same product, but it's not packaged the same way, or it's a different color. Perhaps it's a product that what I have has additional benefits or features to it that I can easily explain or demonstrate to the customer. Number 4, it's something that's not sold in mass merchants. They don't sell the same exact product. Number 5, it's not being advertised by the competition. It solves the problem or the need the customer has better than what they've initially asked for. We all know that what a customer wants and what a customer needs are 2 different things. We do a better job of explaining to the customer what they need only if we have educated our salespeople as to how to be salespeople and not be cashiers. And then we have to go back and reference back to the blind price list. It's got 3 or less points to it. And number 8 on my list says this product is on the list because it's the manufacturer's name that takes and speaks volumes for it. We can be 10% higher than a competitor's price, up to about $4 on these items. We can do it because your customers here and customers place high value on their time. And because of the COVID situation that has been occurring, we have customers who are less apt to take and want to go from business to business to business. I'm here. Let's pick this up now. All of us lead busy lives. We want to pick it up right now. We're in a hurry. Got someplace else to go. There's a minimal price difference. And yes, there are customers out there who will watch 2 cents. Let them go someplace else. We don't need the price shopping customer. The competition is too far away. How long does it take to go from one business to the other business? What's the customer's time worth and what's the cost? The value formula. Again, there's always going to be a customer that's going to come out there who wants our time and our information to want to go shop someplace else. You're not going to beat that customer, but there's a lot more customers that would take and would do business with us because of the help. My example was what I experienced yesterday. If there were 2 of that store, and oddly enough, they're both members of the same buying group in town, the one closest to me and the one in the town 70 miles away, I would go to the one that I went to yesterday because the staff spoke to me. They said hello. They said, how you doing today? You enjoying the holiday? And watching this one young lady who was so impressive, quality, service, and information, key factors as to how a person's going to decide where they want to shop. The challenge we have is most of us spend our time hiring people and teaching them how to run a cash register instead of teaching them about the products and services that we offer and teaching them how to actually be a salesperson. All right, so now we're going to get into, shall I say, the complicated one. However, this is the one that took my time to sit down, look at things, read what my friend had shared, and the way I've boiled it down to you today, it's going to be a whole lot easier to implement, but it makes a big, big difference in how we sell things. So I'm going to do so by looking at departments in my business. Whatever you sell, product or service, you'd like to know what part of your business is making what kind of money for you. If you sell products and you offer services, you really want to know if you're making money by selling stuff or by the doing stuff. Best businesses make this a standard operating procedure to know what part of the business is doing what. So let's look at a business and going, say we were a clothing store. If we were a family clothing store, we would look and go, well, here's children's, boys and girls, here's infants, here's men's, here's women's. Those are the departments within our business. Our fine lines, okay, our fine lines are things where we look inside of it, such as if we were in the men's, we might have shirts, long sleeve and short sleeve. We might have dress shirts and casual shirts. We might have slacks. We might have shorts. We might have jeans. We might have all kinds of accessories. Again, understanding where things are margin-wise in our business. And I'm going to show you how, with an example here, how we could look at doing this. And then the other technique we're throwing in here is simply knowing how to determine the actual number of what we're selling something for. All right, so let's go back. We used the candle earlier. Let's go back and use the candle again. I've got a department. I have a gift shop, perhaps. My department's called candles. Within there, I have all these fine lines. I have tapers, okay? Those are the long, thin ones. I have pillars. Those are 3-inch wide or 4-inch or 6-inch wide. I have candle holders. I have novelty type candles. I have the little tea lights. And then I might have things like neat little lighters for candles and things that clip off wicks and all kinds of stuff like that. So the miscellaneous accessories for it. I may know what the margin is for my department of candles, but I want to look inside that one and go, what's the margin in each of these categories? Okay. What are the margins on it? For example, a 3-inch, a 4-inch, and 6-inch. Okay, it's the same candle. It's either 3 inches, 4 inches, or 6 inches wide. Why would one of them have a different margin? Okay, not price. Okay, not a different price, but a different margin. All right, that's my side note here. Let's calculate. Margin is taking the selling price. You subtract from it the cost of the item, and you get the gross profit. You divide the gross profit by what you're selling it for, and you come up with a percentage, 40%, 50%, 57%, 60%. That's your margin. So the question I'm asking myself at this point, if this were my store, shouldn't my 3, 4, and 6-inch pillars, since they're the same candle, just difference in width, shouldn't they have the same margin? Well, let's see who's got the best on it. Perhaps it's the 4-inch that's got the best margin. I'm going to look at, and I'm going to experiment in my business with making the margin on my 3-inch and my 6-inch increase it to match to be the 4-inch. I want to see what's going to happen. Well, you may lose business and I may gain more business. That's why we have to experiment. There's no one, including myself, who can simply tell you across the board, something's going to absolutely work in your business. But when a business owner looks at something and goes, that won't work, we have that old saying, you're right, because whatever you determine without having tried it, you're right. If you say it won't work, it's not going to work because you're not going to give it a shot at trying it. So I want to look in what I offer in my business and go, where are my margins? What can I do to take and increase things? Now, let's go just do some more. Got this idea from riding in a taxi cab. Several years ago, you'd get in a taxi cab somewhere and they had a sticker on the window that said, we're adding $2 to our charge because of prices of gas. Okay, so it was at a time where gas went up and then it'd go down. The stickers never went off. And we began to look and go, here's an example that we could perhaps use in our business. And I thought, if I'm ringing up a sale that's a couple $100 for an item for somebody, it's the same amount of time and effort of ringing up the sale as something that's a small piddly item. So as you look at my columns here, you see what a cost is on the left side. And I'm saying, all right, so what if in the old days you simply just did the proverbial, I double the price on it, all right? I just take it, the term is called keystone, when you take cost, add it to itself or double it. We came up with a 24-cent surcharge, a service charge for selling the little small things. and then we rounded up to hit a 9. Look, if you will, please, on the margins on the far right. Everything previously was simply 50. Now look at what it's at. And you go, well, what if someone's not going to buy it because you're adding 24 cents? Got to ask the question, do I want that customer who's balking at 24 cents? Let me give an example from one of the simplest items. Walk into a hardware store and ask to buy nuts and bolts. The nice person in the hardware store is going to take and walk you over to the counter, help you find the exact one you need, sell you as many as you need. And when you walk into a store like a Menards, a Lowe's, or a Home Depot, you're going to walk in, you're going to have to find the counter yourself. You're going to have to find the particular nut and bolt combination, whatever it is yourself, and it's going to be in a bag, and you want one. And they sell them perhaps 3 or 4 at a time. Now, when you look at the difference, how it goes through the procedure, I often have seen examples where the hardware store is selling you the nut, the bolt, or whatever it is, for less money than what the Home Depot is. And they're forcing you to buy 4, and they're forcing you to wait on yourself. So the 24-cent surcharge was added into how we price things. Again, not caught, have never had a student since 1998 who has ever come back and said, I got caught on this. It's just extra margin. Now, let's take that concept and let's go further. I can tell, because I'm an extreme student of business, when someone is pricing products that are according to a wholesaler or manufacturer's guideline, or they're using the formula because of the numbers they got. This is $14.27. This is $10.25, and all kinds of weird numbers. There's no consistency to it. So perhaps you've heard of the strategy of pricing barriers. This works something like it. Everything between $2 and $9.99. Suggestion is rounding up, not down, rounding up the last 2 digits to hit whatever number here in this sequence comes next. So if I'm selling something for $9.80, it's now $9.99 instead. $10 to $20. Saw in a store yesterday, something being sold for $17.20. Weird number. If they were to sell it for $17.99 instead of $17.20, that's an extra 79 cents the business is making. That's a bunch of money when that adds up over a period of time. No one is going to catch it, whether it's $17.20 or $17.99. It's extra margin to you, and no one's going to balk on it at that point. And again, the only person who's going to catch it is going to be your accountant if they're paying attention. $20 to $50. Everything rounds up to one of these items. So if I have something that is $35.49, it's now $36.99. I've made an extra $1.50 on it. And then from $50 above, we're going to eliminate the $1.99 number, and we're going to eliminate the $6.99 number. And if you want to take it another step past this, I'm fine with the concept. At $100, we get rid of the $2.99 and the $7.99, and perhaps at $200, we get rid of everything but the $9.99. The key factor here is that as you have higher price items, the digits are not as important, not to the customer, but it's much more important to you in your business. All right, so let's look at these last 1, 2, 3 slides. That's a bunch to hold on to in your mind. So I've created a calculator. Again, profitsplus.org. This is the price rounding calculator. And all these numbers that I've just thrown at you, this calculator will do it for you. So top of our website, there's a green horizontal bar, and you look for the word calculators. It's the second one from the right, and you pull down, and then you call price rounding. So as you see right here in step 2, it says, so during the presentation on pricing, this is what we're talking about. Tom demonstrates a technique of how to make changes. So you start out with saying up above, here's the cost, here's my selling price. It'll tell you here's what your margin is, and then it's going to fill in all this stuff down below to tell you here's what's going to be different in your business because of the way that you priced it. Now, I must say to some people, this looks like a lot of little small piddly details. To the extent, I remember one person who in a class one day said, all this work and all I'm doing is increasing it by like 5%. That's it for my whole business, 5%. And I said, well, let me ask you this question. Would you mind telling me what the net profit is in your business? And he says, okay, yeah. He says, I make 5%. My bottom line in my business is 5%. And I said, sir, let me point out to you, we have just doubled the profit in your business by not selling anything more, but just paying more attention to what things should sell for instead of listening to a manufacturer or a wholesaler or using some mathematical formula that you've been taught over the years. We've just doubled your profit. Tell me something else that could raise money any quicker than this. That's what this calculator will do for you. So now, in my last couple of minutes, let me share with you, here's how we put it together. This was first, our second, our third, our fourth, and then our fifth. Let me explain the logic behind each of the 5. Number 1, we went for everyday sale prices. Folks, not only have I been in business all my life, my father, my grandfather, my great-grandfather all have done the same thing. It's all our family has known for what has been, let's see, this year, 99 years. We study business. So with everyday sale pricing, start watching and collecting the ads of the competitors. And in doing so, I'm going to suggest that you take and put them in file folders January through December so that you know what they do, because what you're going to find is that competition out there are very repetitious in what they do. Do not announce this as a giant price change. As you find them, change them, but make sure you do something with an item like that card. We called it the insult card, the price comparison card, whatever you want to refer to it as, so that people will notice it. Don't just change the price tag. Show the reason why you're changing the price. Never have the lowest price in town. It's not going to do anything for you. You can match the lowest price in town, but never be the lowest price in town. And when you have multiple competitors, let's say you're a pharmacy and you see a CVS or a Rite Aid or a Walgreens, and let's say they've got 3 different prices. Again, from experience, match the one with the highest price, not the lowest. Have never seen an experience of someone saying, well, yeah, you matched Walgreens, but you didn't match CVS's price, right? If that were ever to happen, that's a price shopper. That's an extreme price shopper. And that's not anyone that we want to pay our attention to. If you're going to lose more money than you're comfortable with, don't stock the item, but expect this to happen. Walked into a liquor store one day. I wanted to buy some local wine where I was visiting, and I knew what a local wine was. And the person at the cash register is saying, we don't stock that stuff because we can't sell it for the same price that Walmart does. So the boss doesn't carry that. What have you just told me? You're just saying, hey, we can't play price games. We're a high price store. Customers going to look at it and go, well, if you're high price on this, then you're going to be high priced on everything else. Not necessarily so. I will tell you, in our business, we had a double digit, 10% plus on everything that was everyday sale price. We were prepared to go for 0 if we had to, but because we changed the way that we bought. we were able to come out okay. Second one, promotional items. Create an advertising budget. I believe somewhere later this month, we're also going to do a seminar on the concept on how to create advertising budgets. And we, again, another free calculator up on the website. We call it AMP, Advertising, Marketing, and Promoting. It's a free download calculator that you can get there. Don't forget that you have to educate people in how to sell things. When a customer comes into a business, calls your business, it may be a price, product, or service that has gotten their attention, but you want to take and do something to make sure that you have the opportunity to sell up from there. Promotional, risk over time. The problem with a weekend sale, your weather is somewhat similar to ours. It can be ugly and it can be unpredictable. And if you do a weekend sale, there's many times the weather is just going to kill you and you've spent all that money and you get nothing out of it. Spread it out over a longer period of time. Measure results. Know what the dates were, the weather was like, how many of whatever it was that you had sold. Learn to promote, not just advertise. Advertising is what we do when we talk to the public. Promoting is what we do when we're talking to our existing customers. It should not be a start over sequence every time. I use the example of 50 First Dates and the movie Groundhog Day. Something happens, it happens again tomorrow, it happens again the next day. Those were comedies. Those were not business plans. When you get a customer, talk repeatedly to that customer. That's why we have rewards programs, loyalty programs, why we have mailing lists, to talk particularly to people who have done business with us. Price sensitive items. Our price sensitive items are harder to determine. For us, it took a while to catch it. We realized we were giving away items we shouldn't be giving away because the competition was only selling one particular color or one particular size to something like that. Use the chart and let it help you to stretch your margins a bit. This is probably the least active program of all the ones that I'm describing today. There's just not a whole lot to it. Variable pricing. This is sitting down in the office and doing stuff. This is sitting down and studying it. There are times I can make more money sitting in an office than I can out being a salesperson. Look at your margins, have your point of sale, look at what departments and fine lines are producing for you. Look at how much space they occupy. Look at which ones are hidden away in back corners. Add the 24-cent pricing strategy to it. Round the prices. It's simply easily done. The last one is blind price items. Learning to see, after you've identified these initial groups, and you go through this 10-point rule, and go look at the competition and see what they are selling. You'd be amazed how many times when you walk into a business, you go, my gosh, this is higher than our price. Yes, I want to take and look at things that I can add to this list and make this list even bigger. I am not a small business that can price and play the war. I'll give you an example. I lived in Florida for many years. When Home Depot came to the state of Florida and I began to watch what they did, I had seen the very first Home Depot in Georgia, looked at it and I go, this is going to change the way a lot of mass merchants are going to operate. In the state of Florida, when Home Depot had a flyer, they had 8 different regions. So I made a point to travel and pick up the flyers. 8 different flyers. There was one for the Miami area. There's one for Fort Myers. There's one for Tampa St. Pete, one for Orlando, one for Jacksonville, one for Tallahassee, so on. 8 flyers. The products were identical in all 8. I remember particularly on one of the flyers that on the cover, here was a product that was $10 in one market and $15 in another market. What was the difference? Who they had competing against them. Where they did not have competition, they could get the $15. When they came into a marketplace and there was other big boys there playing, then they were going for the $10 pricing. I can't play that game. I'm a local owned business and I'm competing right here in my town. I can't play the way they play. Hence, I have to focus on having the value formula that I can add that will bring people to me because of the things I can give that I can't give. They cannot give. A friend from Texas shared this with me. This is so true. If you gain a customer because of your prices, you're going to lose that customer because of your prices. They're a price shopper. We call them a bottom feeder. I don't want that customer. I don't want to pay attention to that customer. Okay. They've told me what the relationship is based upon. And as an independent, that's not my customer. I want the customer who appreciates my unique individual business. This morning, I appreciate everybody getting with me bright and early. Let me share this one thought with you before I give it back to Brianna. If you're not an SBDC client, if business is great, sign up, make contact with an advisor. If business is not going great or business is just mediocre, sign up, get with an SBDC advisor. When an opportunity comes or a challenge comes, I can assure you, you want that SBDC advisor to already know who you are and know your business so that you do not have to introduce yourself and go through all that necessary. Meet one today. Talk to them about your business. Get an appointment scheduled to visit with your SBDC advisor, whether it's virtual or live, but tell them about your business so that you can respond to what's occurring in your immediate community. If you have a question about what I have shared with you today, there's my website. All the tools, again, are free on the on there, as well as there's 1,000 other pages of neat, and I do literally mean more than 1,000 pages of information up there. Everything is free. If you have a question about this particularly, there's my email address, there's my phone number, and as Brianna said initially, this program is being recorded today. Would definitely advise a person to take and go and listen to it again so that you could catch it. Brianna, with that, let me hand it back to you.
Thanks, Tom. That was some awesome information, and I'll let you keep your contact information up on this screen for a little bit longer. So yeah, if you guys have any questions from today's webinar, please feel free to reach out to Tom. We do have a couple minutes if you do want to squeeze any last minute questions in there, but this has been recorded and will be up on our YouTube channel. So this is just the beginning of our 4-part series. So we will have some more webinars with Tom the rest of the month. Our next one is on June 8th. So next Tuesday at 8:30. And that one is the one he kind of brought up a little bit earlier about item and price advertising. So that'll be, like I said, next Tuesday at 8:30 a.m. So we're excited that we get Tom for a little bit longer for the rest of the month. But yeah, let us know if you need anything. Like Tom mentioned, feel free to go to our website, iowasbdc.org, and set up an appointment with us if you're not already a client. And thank you, Tom, for being here. We appreciate it. A lot of good information. So if there aren't any questions, then I will bring this webinar to a close and stop recording. And we appreciate you all being here today.